What is up, guys? So I thought I would do a quick movie review, and I know I haven't done movie reviews on this channel, but this one is kind of in the retro wheelhouse, and it's a movie that I think needs to be seen. It is a documentary called Not For Resale. You can stream it right now on Amazon, you can also watch it on Vimeo, and you can buy it on Blu Ray. So I'm just going to give you my thoughts on this movie, kind of a brief summary of it, and whether or not you should check it out. Right after this. Show me retro. Not For Resale is a documentary that was recently released, and it basically examines the decline of physical media in the video game industry and the rise of digital distribution. Directed by Kevin J. James, not to be confused with Kevin James, the actor. And it was also executive produced by Pat Contry, who a lot of people know as Pat the NES Punk. And he makes multiple cameos in the movie. So I have to confess, I am a huge fan of documentaries. I've always been. They just tell such a real story when they're done properly. So when I heard about this movie, I just had to see it, whether it was good or bad. I just wanted to see what it was like. And there's been some video game documentaries that have not been that great. One that I really did like was the Atari one about the landfill, the myth that all these games were buried in this landfill. Highly recommend that one. But this is one that kind of hits close to home because they interview a lot of these local mom and pop store owners of video game stores, kind of get their take on what it's like to own one and how things were when it started and how things are right now and where all of this is going. And recently in where I live, we lost two stores. They were both fairly close to my house. So now for me to go to like a retro video game store, a buy-sell trade type store, I gotta drive at least 20 to 25 minutes. Some of the better ones are even further, more like 45 minutes to an hour. You know, the writing is on the wall, and that's kind of what this documentary chronicles. But they do a really good job of making the case for digital media as well. There is a place for this. But then it kind of comes around and you get the other aspect of that. Like when you download a game, you really don't own that game. You're just buying the right to play it. And who knows how many years from now when servers start shutting down, what happens to that game that you spent 10 to 15 bucks or whatever to download and play. It's just a really sobering kind of, I was very moved through this movie. It actually, there were parts towards the end that really got me kind of choked up. It's beautifully shot. It's very well directed and cut. They did a great job with the interviews. This is definitely a must-watch. And I say it's a must-watch whether you're a fan of video games or retro video games or documentaries. You still need to watch this movie. You know, this is happening, okay? We can't deny that video game stores are going away, physical media is going away. Now, they kind of address the future. Personally, I think that physical media will always be around in some form. They do talk to people like Douglas Bogart of Limited Run Games, and I think there's always going to be some form of a company like that that will satisfy the people that want physical games. They also go to PRGE, they go to PAX East. Here's the really cool thing too. They showcased so many local shops, local video game places around the country. There was one actually in St. Louis, Arch City Gaming. They talked to the owner of Game Junkie in Glenside, Pennsylvania, Thrill House Games in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and Pink Gorilla was also one that they definitely touched on. There was lots of interviews with Kelsey, who I had the fortunate opportunity to meet multiple times and have conversations with. She's super nice and so knowledgeable. Her and Cody run a store in Seattle. They actually run two stores, and they are so smart about how they run that business. I watched their panel when they came to a convention in my town, and it was one of the most interesting panels about what it's like to own a store, to run one, to have employees, and how much do you pay them, and how to name your store. They are super, super smart, and that's why they are doing so well. Lots of cool interviews with people that you may have actually been in their store. I'm sure there's a lot of people that are watching this or that are going to watch it and go, oh my God, this guy is like, right down the street from me. It really makes you sit back and want to kind of go to that store and show them a little bit of love. And I am guilty myself of walking into some of these places and just saying, I'm not going to spend $20 for this original Xbox game. I can go on eBay and get it for less than 10. Yeah, these guys have overhead and all that, but they're putting food on the table. They're trying to live this dream they have of owning this shop. And it's not so much about the money. They love what they're doing. They also talk about the National Video Game Museum, which is in Frisco, Texas. They also talk about the National Archives, which is slowly compiling this massive amount of games. And, it's a slow process. I can't remember the amount that they have at this point. Maybe 3,500, I can't remember what it was. But they've got like the entire run of Nintendo Power. They're just trying to make sure that this stuff is documented. There's also, interestingly, the immortal John Hancock has an appearance, and he has about a minute a speech in there. It's a really amazing documentary, and it definitely will make you think the next time that you go into one of these mom and pop retro shops and look at it from a different point of view after seeing this. You kind of see these guys and it seems like they're doing well, and then towards the end you kind of get the reality of how hard this business really is to be in. And it's weird, they kind of talk about the positives of digital media, and then there's the negative side of it. They talk about Rocket League and how it was first introduced as an online game, and a lot of these indie developers that if it wasn't for digital media, they wouldn't even get discovered. So there is a place for digital media, and there's going to be a place for physical, and hopefully they can coexist for many, many years to come. But as we all see it, it is going the way of the dinosaur. So that's my thoughts on this. If I had to give this movie a grade, I would give it a B+. It definitely told a very engaging story. I was hooked. I was not wanting to get up. There's a lot of times you're watching something and you just feel like it's just not hooking you. You get up and you'll do dishes while it's on. This wasn't like that. This was 86 minutes of nostalgia and interesting interviews, and you get to see both sides of this. And I loved how they kind of came full circle in this. So support this movie, guys. Go out, rent it, buy it, watch it. Make your kids watch this. I hope you enjoyed this review. If you do, let me know. Maybe I'll do some other ones. Again, this was more kind of in the retro bubble, so I thought that I would touch on it and just give my 2 cents. Please leave me a comment. If you are not a subscriber, please consider doing so. It really helps out the channel. I will see you all next time. Thank you so much for watching.